Now the significance of that in the U.S. is what's called men's business meeting. And I've asked brethren for years, where is the scriptural authority for a men's business meeting? There is none. So, well, we got to conduct our business. Fine. Call a congregation meeting. That's done in Carolina, done among you. That is the way to do it. If there were elders, it's right and proper for elders to get together because they rule in the sense that they lead in terms of 1 Peter 1-5. Not as lords over God's heritage, but as examples unto his brethren. But it became the practice back all the way to about 1889 or 1890 in the U.S. Old Brother J.B. McGarvey was a well-known, well-respected preacher at that time, author of a number of books. He made the comment that with business meetings for the whole church, he thought it was unfortunate, and this is what he said, that the words of a 16-year-old newly baptized girl carried as much weight as a male Christian who'd been a member of the church for 50 years. Well, I think his observation was way out of line. If the 16-year-old sister wanted to express herself, that's fine. But the answer had to be in terms of 3 Peter 4:11. If any man speaks, let him speak as the oracles of God. Not the 16-year-old sister. Not the elderly brother who's been a Christian for 50 years or 51 years. But what do the oracles of God say? Today in the U.S., most congregations, of which I am aware, with those without elders, hold men's business meetings. And you ask me, why do they do this? Well, a woman has to be silent in the church. Let me get into that senseless argument. I'll give you the scriptures as we go along on that. Where Paul has said, let the women keep silent in the church. The conclusion drawn from that is totally absent from the context in which that remark occurred, which is 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34. Go back to verse 28. Said the same thing of the man. Let the men keep silent. Okay. So once a man has shut up and a woman has shut up, what happens? This is the foolishness, the utter stupidity of drawing a conclusion based upon a human inference or a human opinion. The context in which Paul made that statement was that the assemblies were being disrupted. First, they had inspired men and inspired women, prophets and prophetesses. When a man spoke by inspiration and another one got an inspiration, he was told to shut up or sit down so the other one could speak. The women were disruptive, apparently they were competitive, and this is the follow-on of what he taught earlier on the miraculous gifts. So it was sort of a free will competition. Who's going to get to use the most voice? Paul said, let them ask their husbands at home. The only scripture in the entire Bible that deals with, quote, a woman's position. That's 1 Timothy 2, 11-15. Do I suffer or permit not a woman to speak, nor usurp authority over the church? Now, that's a Hebrewism. But it's saying the same thing in two different words. Paul's not saying that he didn't permit a woman to preach. He said in a manner that is not usurping authority over a man. Now the idea of usurp means to take unlawfully, or in this case, unscripturally, over a man. So when we look through the Bible, we find a number of instances where women were in charge. Now this lesson is not just on the woman's thing. This is just what introduced it. In the Old Testament it happened a number of times. And then the New Testament it did also. And we find in Acts 8 and verse 4, when the disciples were scattered abroad, they went everywhere preaching the word. I looked up the word preaching in all of its particular definitions. It's about 4. And they all mean essentially the same thing. A public explanation of what the Scriptures teach. That's essentially what preaching is. Now, who were the disciples? Again, unless somebody can find a definition in the Bible of the word disciple that means men only, disciples means disciples. What is a disciple? A learner. Matthew 28, verses 19. Go ye therefore and baptize in every nation. Make disciples in every nation.